Hey guys, so this is another episode of Around the Table GTA. Tails here, and we are going to be talking about an interesting topic. I think it's interesting, especially since I have been talking with people, especially younger people too, and hearing people worry about certain things, and then even stopping and thinking about my own life and things that I've wanted to do and what I want to do and what could still potentially happen. So, this episode's going to be talking about slowing down your life. And you're like, what do you mean slowing down your life? What does that truly mean? All right. So, how I describe it is kind of like realizing what you're doing on a day to day basis and seeing if it's something that helps you get to where you want, right? So for me, I've been off for a while. I have my time off, and it's got me thinking a lot too, right? I've changed my whole routine. I'm used to waking up, doing this, getting ready for work, going to work, talking about random stuff at work, doing my work, going home, trying to squeeze in a podcast episode, either before or after work, and then rinse repeat until the weekend, and then do certain things, right? And like I've said in previous episodes, every once in a while I like to take like a social media break, or even just kind of disappear. Like, one of my favorite things is when I break my phone, and a lot of people are like, you broke your phone, or I lost my phone and stuff. For me, it's one of the biggest reliefs, right? Now I'm very limited in checking things, and everyone's like, oh, well, that's your impulse control and everything, but how the world's become, it's been a way where, especially if you're on social media, where the fear of missing out is so strong, right? The habit of waking up and checking your phone to see if you've missed something is totally ingrained in society. And because of this, like, when you pick up your phone, you're constantly searching for things, right? You're searching, but you have to stop and think, is this something that really matters to you, right? Um, at the moment, I don't get that many phone calls. There's only certain people that I'm expecting phone calls from, and if I get a surprise phone call, that's nice. Recently, I've been getting a lot of surprise phone calls, so I'm happy that I have my phone, right? And yes, anything could happen when your phone's gone, but at the same time, anything could happen either way. So whether you have your phone or not, if you miss it up, if you miss, you miss, right? You could be sleeping and something happens and your phone's on silent and you don't hear anything, right? But anyways, um, a part of slowing down your life is kind of just slowly removing certain things out of your life, right? Like, for me, I know every time I do my social media break, I feel like, I would say the first couple of days it's really hard, right? My hands are are not busy, right? But you realize when you remove things out of your life, you start to slowly add different things into your life. So for me, I know every time I do a social media break, I end up reading a lot more. Why is that? Because I'm always reading something anyways. So if I'm not on the big social media websites, I'm on forums reading something, or I'm reading a book online anyways. So a lot of that time just changes to searching for specific things, um, reading, and then maybe some guides if I need it. But I'm pretty much off the internet, right? I'll go online and maybe look out a workout regimen or something, but that downtime is really nice for me. And sometimes you come back and you see how many notifications you have, and then when you go through your notifications, you really see that you haven't missed much, right? So that's my favorite thing about social media cleanse too. You just have a different outview in life and everything too, right? Slowing down your life too is just like pinpointing what you do throughout the day, and you don't really realize how much time you waste on things that don't matter until someone points it out, right? Like I live with people who are on their phones 24/7, right? I remember one time I left my phone, and someone living with me was freaking out. It's like, oh, you don't have your phone, go and get your phone. I'm like, I don't care. I left my phone. I'm gonna be gone from my phone for like 30 minutes. What's gonna happen, right? Anything could happen, but like 90% of the time nothing's happening, right? So I'm not bothered, but to see how concerned and like worried the other person was kind of bothered me as well too, right? You don't realize how much you have until you lose certain things, but at the same time you don't realize how unnecessary certain things are until they're gone as well, right? It's kind of like when you leave a bad relationship and you're in a new relationship and you're like, wow, I dealt with that garbage for years, right? You just never noticed it because it's something that you added to your life, right? So slowing down your life, reassessing things, removing things, that's a big thing, right? And back to reassessing, you want to take some time to reassess what you want in life too, right? A lot of people are on social media and they're seeing what people are doing and they're like, yeah, that's the life that I want. Is it really though? Right? That's a really big question where like, is it really though? And if it is something that you want, how are you going to get there? How long is it going to take for you to get there? Is it worth sacrificing what you have in your life right now to pursue that? Right? Because like for me, especially like where I've gone in the past 5 years, I was talking to someone on the phone and I just finished doing my taxes a while back, and I was looking at how much money I made like 5 years ago, and the amount was very small, right? But I could tell you right now, 5 years ago, I was enjoying life a lot more than I was enjoying life right now. And it's not that I can't do those things that I was doing before, right? Time changes things, right? And some of the things that I did before, I would gladly still do it, right? But you know what's going on in the world right now, so half of those things I can't do anyways. But I've sacrificed that time to get more money now so that I could do something better in the future, right? So even back then, I was planning to get to where I am now, right? And now I'm at a state where, I have to think, am I happy? Am I still going towards where I want to go? Is this what I want? Do I want to do more? Do I want to do less? Right? It's when you start getting comfortable with certain things is where you kind of have to slow down and think, is this still the direction that I want to go? Is this where I really do want to see myself, right? Is this just something that I picked up because I thought I'd like it and now I'm here and I'm so used to it, I should just keep going, right? And that's something that's harder to change the older you get, right? Because it's a thing where once you start getting used to a certain lifestyle, it's hard to go back, right? If you lived in a slum and you've worked your way to riches, or not even riches, just like middle class, it's hard to go back to, sleeping on the streets, for example, instead of sleeping in a bed, right? Especially with what's been going on where so many people have lost their jobs and they can't pay for the lifestyle that they're living or that they were living, and they've had to do so many crazy things to keep it up, right? So that's another thing where, when you slow down your life, you have to think, can I keep this up? Do I have a safety net? Um, if this doesn't work, what else can I do? What else am I good at? Right? And slowing down your life kind of helps you be alert for these certain things, and it helps you reevaluate your options and shows you, is your growth worth it, right? Like for me right now, I'm assessing my job path and what can I do if I leave my job, or um, if it's an industry that dies off. Right now, it's not really looking like it's an industry that's dying off, but um, you know, what if I get bored with my job, right? What else can I do, right? And that's something that a lot of people don't kind of put into consideration, and I think that's another problem with like social media. You're like constantly distracted, that you're not alone with your thoughts, and when you're not alone with your thoughts, sometimes certain things that are worrying you, you kind of ignore it until you're forced to confront it, right? I think that's a huge reason for, mental health and, panic attacks, stuff like that. I'm not a doctor though, right? So, you can't quote me, but this is just my view and my thoughts on stuff like that, right? Slowing down your life too, it's another reminder that not to put too much pressure on yourself, right? You're only one person, whether you're single, whether you're with another person, whether you're married, whether, you're just a person who's very busy, right? Um, Sometimes you just need to relax, right? Take a break, take vacation, call in sick for work. You need to take time to assess what you want to do, and life doesn't have to always be go go go, right? I think um, that was my biggest understanding traveling, right? I've traveled to Japan, I've traveled to Ghana, I've been to the States, but my most two recent travels, it was crazy how different the lifestyles were, right? Like in Japan, a lot of things were very efficient, fast, on the dot. If something said it'll be here in 5 minutes, it'll be here in 5 minutes. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. It was pretty accurate, right? A funny thing about Japan that I actually like, but I wasn't expecting, was if somewhere closes at 10 o'clock, right? 9:30, you cannot order anything, right? When it's closed by 10, everything is cleaned up, closed, locked down. There's no one there. It's not like here where, a grocery store could be closed at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock. It depends if you're in a big city or if you're in a smaller city where... Anyways, the point is, people walk in 9:55, and then after, you still have to deal with that customer. Then you're trying to rush the customer out when you're trying to close everything. I worked at a grocery store before, so it's kind of annoying. And then you got to go through the tills and everything too, and you're ending up doing like overtime because someone's not respecting that. So slowing down your life, another aspect of that is like, do you really like life here, right? I saw a video yesterday from one of a content creator that I've been following, and he was talking about how he likes where he lives, but he feels like there's more opportunity elsewhere, so he's probably gonna move, right? And you have to remember that there is always opportunities elsewhere, whether it's in your hometown, whether it's in another country, whether it's a neighboring town. You just have to put yourself out there, and you have to take that risk so you could see where else you could go, right? Like a lot of immigrants, even like refugees, they took a big risk to either come to or get to whatever country that they got to, right? I have a friend who um, falls into that category as well, and they're getting their citizenship really soon, or they just got their citizenship. I haven't talked to them in like 2 weeks, but um, the fact that there's people that leave everything behind, right, to go do or pursue something, it's big, and it's something that when you're too comfy, you don't realize that there could be something better for you outside, or whatever you're dealing with is great as well, right? When I was in Ghana, it was crazy because I lived on two different aspects, because I visited two different types of people, right? And on one side, it was the poorer side where everything was slow, life was very slow, the days went by a lot slower, right? But I know for a fact that I kind of enjoyed myself more, right? We went to go explore a bit and went to go see like a site, and the amount of time it took us to get there was so long. And even when we wanted to get this and that, how everything was dealt with, it was not up to like my Western standards, right? But it was definitely an adventure of a lifetime, right? And on the other half, everything was a little bit fast. It was more similar to how I live here, but overall, how the country process was slower, right? Unlike Japan, where if someone said 5 minutes, it would be within 5 minutes. 5 minutes might be like 25 minutes because time is not that serious over there, right? So that's another thing where if you prefer something like that where you don't want to feel like you're constantly on the go, that's another lifestyle that you could choose to go to, right? Because like in Japan, they work 6 days a week, right? They get one day off, and I think that's crazy. Like a lot of places, they have like mandatory overtime, so not only do you only have one day off, you're probably working like 60 plus hours if you're working somewhere that's like that, right? So that's a thing where you gotta realize slowing down your life and reevaluating what you want, what you have to, right? I'm the type of person, I don't spend too much. The most that I spend on is food, right? And then maybe once a month or every couple of months, I'll spoil myself with something, right? So I guess I'm kind of a little bit of a money hoarder or a saver, right? It depends on how you look at it, right? But it gives me more options, right? And that's something you could develop when you slow down your life. What are my options? What do I want to do? Is this the life that I want to live? Can I take a break from the life that I'm living right now to pursue something and come back to it? Where do I stand, and is this what I want for me, my future self, and potentially future family, if you're that type of person, right? Ultimately, time is the greatest teacher. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and we were just talking about the stupid stuff that we did when we were younger, and every time you get to a certain age, you kind of stop and think, oh, I was so dumb when I was this age. And then you get a little bit older and you're like, wow, I thought I knew everything, right? I think it's the biggest thing is a lot of people are like, oh, if you're online and you watch certain things, or if you're in certain circles, people are like, oh, that's so cringe. Oh, how could someone do that, right? And if you don't know what cringe means, or if this is like played in the future, cringe is something that's embarrassing, right? Cringy, but people just say it's so cringe for short, right? And something that you might think is cringy can be entertaining for other people, right? But it's cringy because you couldn't see yourself do it, right? And that's a thing where every time we kind of look back on ourselves or how we acted or what we thought or how outspoken we were, we're just like, wow, that's so cringy. But it could have been something that was very thought provoking at that time, right? Because you've never thought that hard at that time, if that makes sense, or it was something that was so new to you where, the concept was, you felt very strongly about it and you expressed yourself, and there's nothing wrong with that. So it doesn't matter how busy your life is, where you are in life, you need to stop every once in a while and just slow down your life and see if it's going the direction where you want it to be heading. All right, so that's it for this episode, guys. See you in the next episode. Have a nice day. Later.